Thank you guys for joining us again. Oh snap, where's OG? So she can't make it today because earlier this week we had a gift from God, a brand new baby boy. What's brand new? Bouncing baby boy on Monday, 10:50 p.m. We just want to thank God. So that's why she can't be here today. And to be honest, I really can't go through this again. Like I know the first time we had our first son, I was like, if not that, he would have been bored. Like, would have just stuck to one because the experience is just, traumatic. You're not sure what's going on and everything. So, yeah, we had a baby boy at the beginning of this week. Thanks. We just want to thank God for everything. Quick story of how it happened. I just want you guys to give you like a background story. So, I was at work Monday. Actually, I knew that this was going to happen because I woke up Sunday night or early Monday morning at about 4 a.m. to go use the toilet. And then I see OG on the chair, just, she's resting on it. I'm like, babe, are you all right? Like, is it time? And she's like, no, just go to the toilet and just leave this place, please. It's just like nothing to be alarmed about. I'm okay. I just need, this is a comfortable position for me right now and stuff like that. So at that point, I was like, this baby's coming very soon. So I remember talking to my mom the next day and I was like, man, I saw what you're doing and I feel like, the cramps are beginning to come, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, around like I think 4 p.m. I was at work and then she sends me pictures of one okra soup that she just made because obviously she knew that she was gonna give birth at some point and she knew I'll need food at some point, so she tried to make all the food available so that at this time when she's recovering she's not stressing herself with what to make. So she sent me the picture of the okra and I'm like, wow, I think I cracked a joke expecting her to send me another message laughing or whatever. And then she sends me a message saying, FYI, the the contractions are becoming a bit regular. I'll keep you posted though. So I remember I was speaking to a client at that time, so I'm like, I got off the call and then I immediately tried to go out to go and check up on her. And then my manager was like, what's up? And I'm like, my wife is having contractions right now. I just want to check up on her and everything. It's like, oh, cool. So I rushed out and coincidentally, another manager was coming up and she's like, guy, I thought you said your wife was going to give birth at some point. Like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm just talking to her right now. So I was talking to OG and she's like, contractions are a bit blah, blah, that. Don't worry. Nothing to be alarmed about. I will tell you when it is becoming very regular and you have to come home. So as soon as I get back into work, like I see the managers talking to themselves and they're like, this guy's wife, like, what's this he doing here? So they're asking me like, what are you doing here? Like, you should get out of here. And I'm like, I can't just pack up my bag. I need permission from you guys now. So they're like, just go, don't worry, we'll sort it out, blah, blah, blah. So as I'm rushing out, OG then calls me and she's like, babe, I think you need to come. I'm like, I'm already on my way, So got home, went to the hospital. We just thank God because everything just went amazing. It wasn't as quick as our first child. When we had Oreolu, as soon as she got in, we're like, first pregnancy, you're going to be a while. And then she's like, I feel like doing something. And they're like, wait, they checked and she was already like 9 centimeters dilated or whatever. But anyway, by the time we got to the hospital, they did the check and then she was 6 centimeters. So it was just a few more hours before we're going to have our son. So I don't know, man. For me, both experiences have been different, but just profound. I feel like every man should be there when their wives are going to give birth. It gives you a newfound or a new level of respect for them. I don't think I can give birth to half a baby, for real, just half. Like what they like. Oh my goodness, it was a lot. And then I saw something for the first time. I saw the placenta. I'm like, that came out of you, like. And it just makes me like, God is just awesome because he provides even before we say we need something. Can you hear me? He's crying right now. But and there's something I like to say, how if you're a lady and you've given birth to a child before, I don't think you're gonna have any excuse on the last day because you've been through the process of delivering life, of giving life to someone, of giving birth. Like if that doesn't prove to you that there is a God, I don't know what else will. Like if you're a lady and you've given birth to a child before and you still don't have a relationship with God, I don't know what you're doing, to be honest. So we have 2 boys now, Oreolu, and I'm going to tell you his name in a second. Before you guys say we should try for another girl, it's a wrap. It's 2-0 full time. Poo. It's done. I'm not going through this again. Neither is OG going through this again by God's grace. So we're hoping that that's His will for us, because that's what we want. No more kids, because I believe you need to be able to have enough kids that you can rightly steward. If it's 2 children that you can take care of, that you can, you know, sort of give your energy and time to, then let that be it. If you can do 5, I don't know how you're going to divide yourself into 5 places, but if that's what you can do, then do it. For us, it's 2 kids. My sister has 3 girls already. We have daughters. Our sons are going to get married to their wives at some point. We're going to have daughters at some point. It's not a big deal to have girls, you know, or don't take that the wrong way, but it's not a big deal that you must have boy and girl. We've done 2, we have 2 boys. Okay, so OG and baby are doing well. We thank God she's recovering nicely. So the name of our second son is Oreolumide. So for those of you who know, our first son is called Oreolu, but the second is going to be called Oreolumide, and that means the grace of my God has come. My wife OG is Isoko, so his Isoko name is going to be Ovie, which means king, and then his English name is going to be Zane, which means God is gracious, gift from God. And for those of you who don't know, it's actually the Hebrew version of the name John. You know, so John in the Bible, Zane is the Hebrew version of that. So those are his 3 names: Oreolu, Ovie, Zane, or Moshe. So, you know, OG is going to be taking some time off to recover, which is why we're making this video. I know we'll miss her incredible insights. I'm going to miss her sitting down beside me, us cracking jokes and just bouncing ideas off each other. But yeah, you know, she's obviously gone through a whole lot this past few days. I think she has probably just slept an hour. Like, she hasn't put 2 hours back to back sleeping. Just let's put it like that, since she gave birth. So it's been a challenging time, but she's going to recover, and that's why she's going to be taking time off. And I know when we started this platform, one of the things that I promised myself was that at no point were we not going to release a video every week. We as in, and you know, we just need a consistency was the key word, you know, in when we're restarting this platform, because like I said, where's my Bible? Okay. Because like I said, a lot of you know me, I quote Hebrews 6:12 a lot, because that's where the Holy Spirit sort of showed me how we are supposed to inherit the promises of God, and it takes consistency. And one of the goals of this platform is to produce the promise of influence, positive influence into marriages around the world. So Hebrews 6:12 says, instead you follow the example of those who are going to inherit God's promises because of their faith and endurance. So faith and endurance means your action and endurance. So what are you doing consistently over time, without, even when because endurance in the dictionary actually means that you are still moving forward even in the midst of resistance. Because there are a lot of people who, okay, you have a child, you change jobs, you do this, and then this sort of slacks, like they take time off. We've built a momentum right now. We're just going to keep riding it, even if it's just me right now, until we wait for OG to get back on there. So I know that one of the things that we're doing was we wanted to make sure that we're going to be consistent. Week in, week out, we're going to be releasing videos on how to prepare for marriage and how to make your marriages better. And, you know, we want to be able to reap the promise of influence, because it's really, really pisses me off. I guess this is one of my pet peeves as well, is when, you know, people who don't know Christ are in positions of influence and they are, you know, spewing out their negative ideas on the world. And because they are in a place of influence, people are going to believe them and, you know, live lives of deceit. One typical example just came out the other day: Will and Jada Pinkett Smith, who are involved in an open marriage, and she had an affair recently, or an entanglement, like they say. And it really upset me, because I'm looking at the comment section, I'm speaking to friends, and they're like, if that's what works for them, then that's what works for them. It's not affecting you. And in my mind, I'm like, these guys are so influential that they could literally change the face of marriage over time. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But like I said, Hebrews 6:12, faith and endurance will produce a positive influence. And that is why we keep doing these videos, because at some point we know that there's going to be a compound effect where we will then be able to speak on doing marriage God's way, and we're able to impact millions of other people with the truth and not the lie. So thank you guys for your support. And please show OG some love in the comment section. Just, wish her a speedy recovery, congratulate her and stuff like that. Don't congratulate me. I didn't really do much. I was just encouraging her, and my part was easy, so she had to do the pushing. So please, just show us some love in the comment section. So over the next 4 weeks, we're going to be starting a new series on the 4 laws of love. And that is based on this book right here, but it's called The 4 Laws of Love by Jimmy Evans, which is our marriage mentor. When OG and I were preparing to get married, we just soaked in all the messages. OG had downloaded over 100 videos from them, and we just started going through them one by one, and we're reaping the fruits of those seeds that were sown in our lives before marriage. So we're going to be going through this book, The 4 Laws of Love. And the reason why I decided to pick this book or this series was, I know a lot of us when we're younger, we memorized the Lord's Prayer. What's the Lord's Prayer in the New King James Version? Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And when you say these things over and over again, at some point it begins to lose its meaning. Like, you don't really know what you're saying because you've said it over time as routine. It's not really potent as it used to be. So I was reading it a few weeks or a few months ago, but I decided to read it in the Message translation. And the first line, Our Father in heaven, instead of hallowed be thy name, it said reveal who you are. And just hit me, and I'm like, whoa, like that's a different way to look at it. Like, this is what Jesus Christ told us to pray first. When you're praying, it should be, Our Father in heaven, reveal who you are to me. When you look at the word reveal, it means to disclose, disclose who you are to me. And as I was doing my quiet time and journaling, my thoughts from my quiet time earlier this week, the Holy Spirit sort of spoke to me and is like, this is what actually transformed you. And it took me back to when I was in church that day that I changed my life. And, I heard a message about a side of God that I'd never really heard about. And it's about the laws of God and how God's laws are predictable. God's laws protect us. God's laws, are no respecter of persons. If you actually commit to doing or commit to the conditions that the law requires, and you're going to get the result. It's not a chance system. It's a guarantee. If you do this, you are going to get this. I remember one example that Pastor Sam gave at the time, and he said, if the president of the United States, jumped off a building holding 10 Bibles, he's still going to come down because the law of gravity is no respecter of person. It doesn't care if you're the president, if you are whoever, governor or whatever, if you are the biggest pastor, if you drop, the law of gravity is going to drop you down. They're going to carry your coffin to come and pick you up. And in my mind, I was just thinking, I'm like, whoa, like I've been trying to depend on so many things, on status, on girls, on drinks, on friends and whatever. And all of them have failed me. And the moment I heard how God's laws are dependable and you could predict success using these laws, I realized that I'm going to submit myself to this one person that I know that I can trust. So laws work for everybody. Like I said, laws are predictable. They create order and they build confidence. So, we use laws to eat. Just take, for example, the farmers decided to sow seeds in the wrong season. Everybody will go hungry. These laws, we use them every single day. Laws create order. Imagine if there was no traffic lights while you were driving. There will be chaos. And I'm coming from, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. There will be so much chaos. People will die. There will be so many accidents because there's nothing regulating, our driving. And also this is why we relocated to Canada, because we realized that there were better laws in this place. For example, we just had our second son and we left the hospital paying $0. Let that sink in for a second. With our first son, we had to go to the States to have him, and we spent almost $15,000 just to have a child, and I had to sell my car. At that point I didn't really have money, so I sold my car to be able to sort of add to that situation. And here we've come to a land where the laws are working. You pay your taxes. There are certain benefits that you are subscribed to. We had a son. Not $1 was spent. We went out of the house. All they asked for is what is the car seat, and that was it. So they're a bit like when you're living in a place where laws are enforced and laws are respected, then it creates order in the system. So laws govern every area of our lives, and unfortunately, I've realized that a lot of people don't realize that marriage also runs on laws. If you're going to have a successful marriage, there are laws for success in marriage, and when you follow them, you're going to have success. When you ignore them, you are going to fail at it, and which is why a lot of people are struggling in marriages today, because they are not really applying the laws that have been created by the creator to ensure that this marriage union thing actually works. And because we're a platform that, we're here to show you what marriage looks like when done God's way. We're here to show you how the laws can predict a successful marriage. And I know a lot of you are asking, how can I guarantee that my marriage will work? A lot of you are scared. I don't want to get into this thing and we end up in divorce. So how can I make sure that this thing will work for sure? What can I do to always stay in love with the person that I choose to marry? And I'm sure a lot of you, maybe you're already married and you're thinking, this stuff is not working. I've just been living in this marriage. I've not really been thriving in this marriage. What can I do to reignite the spark? These are very valid questions, because nobody wants to do trial and error, especially in marriage. This is one area that you don't want to miss it. You don't want to do trial and error, because it's one area where you're going to reap the consequences for a while, like maybe even forever. A lot of you are thinking, I want to be able to build a house, while using the blueprint, because that is how we build houses. We build it twice. We build it first on paper and then in reality. And it's the same way with your marriage. You want to be able to build it first on paper, see the laws, see how these laws can create the successful marriage, and then get into it. It's the same way we build houses, the same way we build cars. It's first on paper and then in reality. But the problem that that I've seen over the years is that a lot of us are just ignorant of these laws. We don't realize that they actually exist. Secondly, we don't trust these laws. And there's something that I heard a few months ago, and this guy said that the beginning stages of change is noiseless. And if you take, for example, when COVID started, patient zero, the first person that ever had COVID, because it takes 2 weeks for it to really, show up, right? The first person that had COVID went about his day. He had already caught it. Millions of people had lost their lives. Millions of people had lost their jobs. The world was about to turn around. But guess what? Nobody, there was no alarm to say the world is going, the person who had COVID for the first time was walking, interacted with people. He went to work like he would do on a normal day. It's the same thing with if you sleep with someone who has HIV/AIDS. You're going to get up as usual, go do whatever, go drive your car. You don't realize that change has happened in your life. The beginning stages of change is noiseless. When you get pregnant, nothing goes para, you don't prego. There's nothing that signifies that something has happened, because the beginning stages of change is noiseless. And which brings me back to Will and Jada Smith. Why I was so upset about this situation, and people were like, dude, it's not affecting you, so why are you getting angry? Is that we don't realize that the beginning stages of change is noiseless. These two people have influence, and they could, through their video, which has done over 40 million views right now, they could change the face of marriage, based on a 12-minute clip. But a lot of us are taking it at face value and thinking, it's not affecting you. So guess what? It's going to affect everybody. Think about the COVID situation. It's not the fact that some people aren't staying indoors and quarantining themselves. How is that working out for us? Let them do whatever they do. They don't believe that there's COVID, and that is good. Guess what? It's going to affect you, because you're going to interact with people that these people have interacted with. It's the same thing with the Will and Jada Smith thingy. The fact that they are now trying to redesign what marriage is supposed to be, where people are now saying, if open marriages work for them, then it works for them. But guess what? They are influencing millions of other people who aren't stable or who don't have the right foundation, and to them they're going to think that this thing actually works. They're going to give birth to children who will believe these things work. And guess what if your daughter ends up getting married to one of these guys who actually believes in open marriages, and now your daughter is in an open marriage by default because you didn't see anything wrong about it. So these things actually do affect us, and this is why we don't trust these laws, because the beginning stages of change is noiseless. Like I've said, we don't trust these laws because we don't see the consequences immediately. If everything was like gravity, where if you fell off a building you immediately dropped, then a lot of people will know that this is actually not the right. But in God's mercy, and I choose to say it is God's mercy, because I would have been dead today if that was the system that God had implemented, where if you do something wrong, the consequences are immediate. But for God's mercy, I'm here today actually speaking about this because he gave me a long rope. He gave me a super long rope to get my act together, and he didn't make every negative consequence become an immediate effect in my life. So even the other way around, even when we follow these laws, the rewards aren't immediate either. You can decide to keep yourself pure, keep yourself a virgin till you get married. It doesn't show up that, because you've kept yourself, then this is your reward. Time is what is going to reveal all these things. So it is why we've decided to do a series on this book, The 4 Laws of Love, because we believe that there are 4 laws that will guarantee success in marriage as long as you follow the conditions. Like we said, with laws, if you follow the conditions, then the reward is right at the end. And these 4 laws, the law of priority, the law of pursuit, the law of partnership, and the law of purity. And these 4 laws are found in Genesis chapter 2, from verse 24 to 25, that says, "This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Now the man and his wife are both naked but felt no shame." So over the next 4 weeks, we are going to be taking each of these laws week by week. We're going to start with the law of priority next week. And I'm just praying that this series will be the game changer for a lot of you guys. For those of you who aren't in marriage yet, this will open your eyes to help you create the marriage that you want on paper first before you get into it. For those of you who are already married, hopefully this will help you realign yourself and to reignite the passion in your relationship. Because one thing I've come to realize is that a lot of us actually follow these laws at some point in our relationship. This is what actually attracts us. This is what actually makes us fall in love. But the moment we get married, we stop following these laws, and then it leads to chaos. So thank you guys. Keep praying for us. I mean, it's been an amazing time having 2 boys now, but it's really hectic. Like, I promise you, I haven't slept. OG hasn't slept, but we're gonna get through it. To be able to produce videos every single week as well, it takes time and energy. But you know what? We're going to be consistent. We're going to do it regardless of what circumstances we face. We're just going to keep pushing, keep consistently releasing these videos every single week, so that we can produce positive influence, so that people can know what marriage looks like when done God's way. So thank you guys. Like I said, show OG some love in the comment section, and we start the new series next week, 4 Laws of Love. See you guys in a bit. Take care.